Tiny. Okay, are you ready? Okay, Ni and Khan, you ready? Okay,
Yes, I'm ready.
good. Khan, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Khan.
Yes.
Right. So let me share. We're going to do speaking. Part one here. Here we go. Okay. Let's see here. What did she say? Part one. Yes. Okay. What kind of house or accommodation do you live in? Ni, what kind of house do you live in?
I live in an apartment.
Okay. Now you need to answer about 2 to 3 to 4 sentences, okay? Not just one sentence. You have to say a little bit more. Can you say a little bit more?
Yes,
Okay, what kind of house?
I live in an apartment with my families, and I live there since I was 7 years old.
Okay. How many floors? Maybe 1, 2, 3 floors.
Maybe 19th floor.
So you a apartment?
Yeah.
Okay. Khan, what kind of house do you live in?
I live in big buildings house.
Say again, you live in?
I live in building house. I mean the house that my grandpa makes.
You live in a house?
Yes.
Yes. Now, who lives with you in the house?
I live with my father, my grandpa, my grandma, uncle, aunts.
Okay, uncle and aunt. So you have a big house.
Just just 3 floors.
3 floors.
Yes.
Okay. And Ni, who lives with you, did you say?
I live with my family.
Who's in your family? Who are the people?
My mom, my dad, and my 2 little sisters.
Okay, right. Now we have different answers here. So let's type an example for you. I live in a house which is quite big enough to accommodate my joint family. Now, Ni, you won't have a joint family. Only Khan will have a joint family because he has his aunt and uncle with him. So you can say, I live in a house or an apartment, which is quite big enough for my family. Okay, you won't say joint family. It has 3 floors, or how much did you say, Khan? 4 or 3 floors?
3.
It has 3 floors where,
Yes.
where all of my family members are living, including my uncle and aunt. We also have car parking space and a beautiful garden. We also have car parking space and a beautiful garden. That's all you have to say. 3 to 4 sentences, okay? Not too long, not too short. I live in a house which is quite big enough to accommodate my family or joint family, or I live on the 4th floor in an apartment building. It has 3 floors. You can say it has 3 bedrooms, where all of my family members are living, including my 2 sisters, or our dog or our cat. We also have car parking space, a beautiful garden. You can say we have a beautiful park across my apartment where we can go and play on weekends. Just a little bit about the environment of your house. Do you understand? Or where you live? You can say I live on the top floor. You can say I have a big balcony where my mom has some plants and a reading corner for me. Or you can say we have 3 bedrooms, which accommodate my sisters. I'm on the 4th floor. I've got a beautiful park, or I'm close to my school, or I'm close to the shops or the bus stop. So just a little bit more information about where you live, not just I live in a house, okay? Now let's have a look at this one. Who do you live with? Now give me at least 3 sentences. Okay, Nee, who do you live with?
I live in an apartment with my father, my mother, my 2 little sister and me.
Okay, Khan, who do you live with?
I live with my father, my grandparents, and my uncle and aunts.
I live with my family, including my parents and siblings. Do you have siblings, Khan, brothers or sisters?
Yes.
Okay. I live with my family, including my parents and siblings. Khan, you can say I live with my family, including my parents, siblings, grandparents, uncle and aunt. Okay. I have
Yes.
2 sisters and a younger brother, or whatever you have, who is 3 years junior to me, or senior to me. If they are older, they are senior. If they are younger, they are junior. So I have 2 sisters who are 3 years junior to me, or 1 year or 5 years less than you, or 5 years senior than you, older. And then you can say, besides, Khan, our grandparents also lives with us. So you can say that at the end, or you can say my aunt and uncle, as well as besides my aunt and uncle, as well as my grandparents lives with us. I live with my family, including my parents and siblings. I have 2 sisters and a younger brother who is 3 years junior to me. Besides, Khan, this part you can say, our grandparents and uncle and aunt also lives with us. Nee, you can say, besides my cat or my dog. If you don't have anybody, then you leave that sentence, okay? Only if you have them living with you, then you say that. Okay. Okay. How long have you lived there? Okay, Carl, let's start with you. How long have you lived there?
I lived there since I was born. Actually is 11 years.
Okay, and Nee, how long have you lived there?
I live there since I was 7 years old.
I lived there for about 7. How old are you now?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 12.
I lived there for about 5 years. Where did you live before that?
I live in my grandparents' house.
Okay, so then you can say, okay, I lived there for about 5 years. It was the first house I lived in, which was my grandparents' house. Before or you can say, oh, you can say here, I lived there. How long have you lived there? I lived there about 5 years. It was the first apartment I lived in. Before that, I lived in my grandparents' house. I lived there for about 5 years. It was the first apartment I lived in. Before that, I lived in my grandparents' house. So you can also put your age in here. You can say I lived there for about 5 years since the age of 7 years. I lived there for about 5 years since the age of 7 years. It was the first apartment I lived in. Before that, I lived in my grandparents' house. Khan, are you in this house from birth, from you were born?
Yes.
So I have lived in this house for 12. How old are you? 12.
Yes. 12.
Oh,
Oh no. It's oh yes, right.
so I have lived there since birth, which will make it my 12th year in the house now. What's the difference between where you are living now and where you have lived in the past? Okay, let's put this one to Ni, because Ni has lived in 2 houses now. Ni, what is the difference between where you are living now and where you lived in the past? So the apartment compared to your grandparents' house.
In my grandparents' house, there was a large yard and I can play there.
Okay, and now?
And now I live in an apartment. There's there also a yard, but it's not very large.
The garden is not very large.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the difference? Okay. What is the difference between where you are living now and where you have lived in the past? You can say, in my opinion, might not be your parents' opinion. In my opinion, living in a flat, or what do you call it? Do you live in a flat or an apartment?
An apartment.
Living in an apartment is much more cost effective because of much lower rent, as well as much lower bills on cooling and heating the place. However, we have limited space and a smaller garden. You can say, in my opinion, what is the difference? In my opinion, living in an apartment is much more cost effective because of much lower rent, as well as much lower bills and cooling, much lower bills Hot variables on cooling and heating the place. However, we have limited space and a smaller garden to play in. So that's the difference. Okay, do you plan to live there for a long time? Let's take Khan. Do you plan to live there for a long time?
Yes, of course, because my father is now responsible to buy a new house. So, and I want to live with my grandparents. So, I think I will live there every time.
Okay, when will you move out? When will you go get your own place? How old must you be? How old do you want to be? Do you want to be 18? Do you want to be 25? Do you want to be 30? How old do you want to be before you move out?
I think I will live there until I'm 20 years old.
Okay, Nee, and you? Do you plan to live there for a long time?
Yes, I do. Because my parents decide to live in for a long time, and my parents will live there because there was a big flood storm, and when I live in my grandparents' house, there are a lot of water go into my parents' house. So it's make me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. And how old do you think you will be before you move out?
Can you say it again?
How old will you be before you move out?
I think it's 5 years old.
No, when you go to your own place, will you live out until what age will you live there? 20, 25? When will you go to your own house?
Maybe 25 or 30.
Okay, so I can have accommodation. Okay, I have finished part one and then topic study. Okay, so here we will say, considering the fact that I am still a student, considering the fact that I am still a student, I will have still a student. I have a couple of years left living with my family. Considering the fact that I am still a student, a couple of years left living with my family. My house or flat or apartment has spacious rooms. A small garden, which makes it relaxing. Considering the fact that I am still a student, I have a couple of years left living with my family. A house or flat has spacious rooms, a small garden which makes it relaxing. And close to close to the shops. Okay, I'm still I am still a student. I have a couple of years left living with my family. My house has spacious room, small garden which makes it relaxing and close to the shops. Okay. So you don't have to move out as yet. Okay, let's do part 1 again. What kind of house do you live in, Nee?
I live in an apartment which is quite big enough to my family. My family, it has 3 bedrooms where all my family members are living, including my little sisters. We also have car park and a beautiful park to play.
We also have a car parking space.
Car
Also have
parking space
and
and
a beautiful
a beautiful
park
park.
to play in, yes. And in the beginning,
Yeah.
you need to say, I live in a house which can accommodate my family. Accommodate means it can take as many people as you are. It accommodates my family. Or you can say, I live in a small house, or you can say, I live in a big house. We have 3 bedrooms which can accommodate my family. That means it can take so many people. Do you understand? So use the word
Yes.
accommodate. Accommodate is a good word to use. Khan, what kind of house do you live in?
I live in a house which quite big, in Wing City. I live with my family, include my fathers, my grandparents, my uncle and aunt. There are 3 bedrooms in my house. One for my father and I, one for my grandparents, and the last one for my uncle and aunt. I live there. I lived there when I was born.
Okay, no, sweetie, wait. It's just the first question, okay? Not all of them. What kind of house do you live in? That's all you have to say. Okay, remember, who do you live with? How long have you lived there is still coming. Only 3 or 4 sentences. What kind of house do you live in? I live in a big house, which can accommodate my family members.
I live in a house which is quite big. It has 3 floors where all of my family members are living, including my father,
including my grandparents, uncle and aunt.
my grandparents, my uncle and aunt. We also have a car parking space and a beautiful garden. And I live with my family, including my my father, my grandparents, my uncle and aunt.
Okay, me. Okay, that's enough. Only 3 or 4 sentences, okay? Me, who do you live with?
I live with my family, including my 2 little sisters. Maybe that's all.
Now you have to say, are they a junior of you or a senior of you? Saying little sisters, then you can say, I have two younger sisters who is 2 years junior of me or 3 years junior of me. So that means they are younger.
Yeah.
Okay, try again.
I live with my family, including my younger sisters, who is 2 years old.
How old is your sisters?
One is 10 and one is 5 years old.
I live with my family, including my parents and siblings. I have 2 younger sisters. My one sister is 2 years junior of me, and my little sister is only 5 years old. That's all you can say. Nobody else lives with you?
Yeah.
I live with my family, including my parents and siblings. I have 2 younger sisters. My one sister is 2 years junior of me, and my little sister is only 5 years old. Okay. Khan, who do you live with?
I live with my family, including my parents, my grandparents, and my uncle and aunt.
How long have you lived there, Nee?
I lived there for about 5 years. In the age of 7. It was the first apartment I lived in. Before that, I lived in my grandparents' house.
Khan, how long have you lived there? Khan?
Oh, I forgot to unmute.
Okay.
I lived there when I was born. I mean it's 12 years.
Okay, so you can say I have been living there for about 12 years since birth. It's the first house I've ever stayed in and the only house I've ever stayed in. Okay, a little bit longer. What's the difference between where you are living now, have lived in the past, me?
In my opinion, living in an apartment much more cost effective because of much lower rent as well as much lower bills on cooling and heating the place. However, we have limited space and a smaller garden to play in.
Good. Do you plan to live there for a long time, Khan?
I think considering the fact that I am still a student, I have a couple of years left leaving my family. My house has a spacious room, a small garden, which makes it relaxing and close to the shop. And I plan to live there until I 20 years old.
Good. Nee, do you plan to live there for a long time?
Considering the fact that I'm still a student, I have a couple of years left living with my family. My flat has spacious rooms, a small garden which makes it relaxing and close to the shop.
Good. Okay. And now we're going to do this topic, study. Talk about studies. Describe your education. Nee, describe your education.
Is that about my education?
Describe your education.
Can you make an example for me?
Describe. So you must tell me about your education, your studies.
That's all the subject.
Yes, you have to start. You have to tell me, what do you study?
I study in high top at secondary school, and I study a lot of subjects there like math, English, the literature, wait,
Literature.
yes, literature, and IT and P. In P, we can also play badminton and skipping, and in English, we can watch the video and play some game on the laptop.
Okay. Khan, describe your education.
I live in class 5 at Hungtu primary school. At here, I can study lots of subjects such as math, Vietnamese, English, and more. In math, we can calculate to calculate together in with Vietnamese. Moving on, and I like IT the best because I can go to the IT room, so I can play a game on laptop. That's all.
Okay, and you can also talk about your teachers when you talk about your education. So then you can also say that you had friendly and caring teachers. So when you talk about education, you talk about where you study, subjects you study, teachers you had. Okay, which subject you like the most, which one you are not as good at or you have to work harder. You can say your school is designed for boys only or girls only, or it's designed more practical. So you can, in my country, you get academic schools, and then you get more practical schools where you do more work, and mechanics where you work with your hands. Others you have to study in books. So you get different types of schools. Okay, what is your area of specialization? This is not really questions for you. Specialization. Now this means, what is the area? What subject do you like the most? What's your favorite subject that you really are doing great in? So what is the subject you are in, or that you are the best in, me?
I think it's English.
Why?
Because I have a lot of prize in English, like festival, the English festival. I take part in that's competition, and I guess the third prize.
Oh, okay. What's your area of specialization, Khan? The one you like the most?
Can you tell me more about this question?
No, wait, I'm talking Khan. Number 2,
Oh.
the one that you like the most?
I just study in primary school. And I didn't study specialization.
No, it's really, what subject do you like the most?
I think is math.
Why math?
Because I can calculate